What is a game you win by losing? There was an episode of Fear Factor where a group of guys had to milk a goat with their mouth. The guy that lost said something like, "Well, at least I suck the least," and walked off like a boss. Any game you play with a little kid, it's actually hard to lose sometimes. Russian roulette. Edit. No, I have not played the game, nor have I ever thought about playing it. I merely stated a game where you lose by winning. No one should ever play such a stupid game. You win at golf by playing less golf than everybody else. Pumping up an auction so the winner pays more. I need Kevin Garnett to pay more for that black opal. Arguing. The sooner it's over, the sooner you can go do something worthwhile. What do you miss the most from pre-COVID? Not being able to book things long in advance because you have no idea what the situation will be like in a handful of months. You can sure as hell buy the tickets for a gig that's happening months from now, but is it actually gonna happen when it's supposed to? Who TF knows? I guess I miss not having a stack of inconveniences that have to be dealt with in order to do public things. It's not that any one inconvenience is too much, but it's just so many little things. Not living in a constantly changing system. Pre-COVID, everything was scheduled, school holidays, places were open to visit. But since COVID, everything that has to do with the government is constantly changing. I just miss being on stable ground. Socialization. It's so hard to make friends right now. I feel very isolated. Edit. Holy shit, thank you. Also, we're all so lonely. If God gave you his powers for 1 hour, what would you do? Remove the time limit. I don't think a time frame is necessary since you would be able to do anything in any amount of time. You could get omnipotence and omniscience for 1 second and do literally everything. Alt plus tab out of the screen and just walk away from the simulation. Elected politicians and candidates for office can no longer lie. Intentionally or unintentionally, everything they express will be truth. If they try to lie, it will come out truth. Let the games begin. Edit. This is not meant to be wholly benevolent. No half-truths, no vagaries. The plain and objective truth, or silence. Those are their options, and it applies to all elected politicians, officially government-sponsored ones, MPs, or otherwise, like say the elected spokesman of the IRA. Create various images on toast and have fun watching believers react to them. What is a strong indicator that someone is dumb? They can't admit when they don't know much about a subject. The inability to have a debate without interrupting or repeating the same arguments over and over. Bonus points if they insult you in the process. I blank out when someone asks me an intelligent question. It takes me several minutes to even come up with the wrong answer. I know that I am dumb. Edit. Dumbfounded. There was someone in my school who said there was a second Mexico in the Caribbean. This same person also boasted about having more chromosomes than everyone else. Edit. Male is norm in action, I guess. Just to be clear, a girl said these things. They can't stop bragging about how smart they are. Holy shoot guys, thanks for all the likes. When they think everything they say is correct and anything anyone else says is wrong. What should everyone experience in their lifetime? A full solar eclipse. It is one of the most unnatural things I have experienced and can understand why people for millennia have assigned supernatural attributes to it. I was watching it from beside a lake. The slow crescendo of crickets chirping as the sun turned purple and then suddenly turned into night gave me chills. Nothing has ever made me feel smaller and at the mercy of celestial bodies than that experience. Seeing the stars far away from any ambient light, where you can see the Milky Way and a steady stream of shooting stars. It's awe-inspiring, and changes your perspective about your place in the universe. Failure, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like most, if not all the progress, growth I've made so far in life has been as a direct result of failure. The feeling to be truly loved by someone. The night sky without light pollution. Being financially stable. Bidet. What was the moment that made you hate somebody you once cared about? My ex-wife trying to convince me I was controlling when I told her not to smoke meth around the children. Guy the first was friends with throughout high school and for a year or two after beat the ever-living shit out of his then-girlfriend who I was also friends with. She called me crying and asked me to come to their apartment at 3 a.m. Got there and she was all sorts of fucked up. Black eyes, busted nose, bruises on her neck and arms. The guy was sitting on the edge of his bed shaking his head going, "She made me do it. She broke my damn statue. She accidentally knocked off a collector's statue he had placed on his dresser when she got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. We called the cops and he got arrested. Piece of absolute shoot. When my ex-wife decided I ruined her 10-year anniversary because I didn't want to travel when the entire country was shut down. My opinion on what we should go and do didn't matter. It wasn't our anniversary, it was hers. Entire relationship was basically hers and I was there just to provide. What two jobs are fine on their own but suspicious if you work both of them? Day trader and being a member of Congress. Oh wait. Wedding planner and divorce lawyer. Work for a liposuction clinic by day, sell homemade soap by night. Spider-Man and someone who makes their living selling pictures of Spider-Man. I once knew a guy who worked in a porn store, 90s small-town dirty-ass porn store, at night, and drove an ice cream truck by day. Same customers sometimes. A chemistry teacher and a car wash owner. Edit. Thanks for all the awards. Do you know that somewhere out there's a real chemistry teacher who owns a car wash slamming his keyboard screaming, "It's legitimate bitches." Plastic surgeon and psychiatrist. You seem to be very self-conscious about your appearance. I know just the procedure that can get you your confidence back. What's a myth most people believe is still true? Mice love cheese. Mice will eat anything they can find with nutritional value, but they don't even like cheese really, they'd rather eat fruit or candy. Goldfish have a short memory. They can actually have a memory span for up to 5 months. Albert Einstein never failed math in school. He mastered differential and integral calculus by age 14 and consistently received top grades in all his math and science classes. The myth that we swallow a certain amount of spiders every year. It literally originated from an article about how people will accept anything they read online as fact. Edit. Lol. It seems that even the original article isn't the origin of the myth, despite me reading from some publishers that it was. Talk about a double myth. Making more money and going into a higher tax bracket will cause them to lose money overall. What's something you look forward to every single day? Getting home from work followed by the relief of not having to work from that point on. Picking my daughters up from daycare. As soon as they see me, they drop whatever they were doing and run to me with the biggest smile on their faces and yelling, "Daddy." The absolute shittiest day at work just disappears in that moment. Walking in the door after work and having my cat there waiting for me, always wanting pets and cuddles. Then she follows me around as I change my clothes and tidy up the apartment, and finally we just sit together and chill. My morning coffee. I get a different coffee every week and drinking it is the most relaxing part of my day. My baby dog's big morning stretch and then watching him go back to sleep in his office bed when I start work. He works so hard. Employee of the month, every month. Those last few warm, drowsy minutes before falling asleep. No matter how horrible of a day you've had or whatever is going on, nobody can take those few moments of comfort and relief away from you. What did somebody say that made you think, this person is out of touch with reality? I'm a nanny and I've worked for some rich clients. Old money. These people know nothing about reality. The best one I heard was this family I was working 12-hour days for. Good pay, terrible schedule. At one point I was bouncing their baby on my knee and the mom goes, "Being a mom isn't that hard." I don't know why other women complain about it so much, while her nanny is literally caring for the baby. Showed a parent the security footage of her 8th grader hitting a teacher. She claimed the footage had been edited. Sigh. Had a coworker that noticed an item's tag said "Made in Vietnam." She said, "Made in Vietnam? That's a place? I thought it was a war." What is an extremely common thing that others can do but you can't? Open envelopes without completely mutilating them. I can't whistle. I'm 34 now and I'm beginning to feel it won't ever happen. Speak coherently like a normal person. Recognize faces with ease. Keep a hobby. Everyone I know has at least one hobby if not multiple. Sometimes a lifelong passion. Meanwhile I can't stick to one for more than 2 weeks. Edit. Since a lot of people commented this, might be ADHD, might not be ADHD. Runs in the family and some stuff def. Fit's never been checked, I just roll with it. Make those bubbles out of chewing gum. What is the most overrated band of all time? McDonald's, their fries are their only good menu item. Edit. I misread band for brand. 21 Pilots. Basically for 2 reasons. 1. There are only 2 of them and 2. I bet neither one of them can fly a plane. Beyoncé. Don't get me wrong, her voice is great. but her music is just so. I don't think she's awful, just too highly thought of for what she is. Edit. I didn't realize how emotionally attached to the word band we all are. I apologize for naming an individual instead of a band. I will now go throw myself into the sea. Katy Perry is a marginal singer with a top-rate PR machine. To everyone saying, Katy Perry isn't a band, you're not a band. Would you bag groceries for the entirety of your working career if you got paid $100,000 a year to do it? Why or why not? Not gonna lie, when I was in high school, my manager at the grocery store where I worked wanted to send me to the regional bagging competition. I thought I was too cool for that and declined. Looking back, I wish I had gone and maybe gotten a trophy. That would have been awesome. My first job was a bagger. I effing loved it. I took pride in not only my speed but my efficiency. My wife makes fun of me because I empty the cart on the belt how I would want to bag them. Unfortunately, it just leaves me disappointed because baggers are shit today. Baggers at my store make $3 or $4 per hour less than any other position, and have to clean up literal human shit on the side. On top of not being eligible for raises, full-time status, or health insurance. Can't really blame them for not caring. What's a great TV show that nobody talks about? Counterpart. Great cast and acting, cool story, 2 solid seasons. The Detectoress. Extremely dry and very British, but a really heartfelt and lovely comedy about some metal detectoress in Essex. The Nick had such an incredible cast. One of those shows for which I actively searched out the actors once it wrapped. I'll watch Andre Holland and Jeremy Bobb in anything. Chris Sullivan was so good with Cara Seymour. Unfortunately, I can't watch him in This Is Us, not my cup of tea. You're the worst. 10 out of 10 in my book. It's hilarious and every episode hits. The writing is incredible and it is perfectly cast. Whole series is on Hulu. The Midnight Bomber was great, and Chairface Chippendale tried to write his name on the moon and it has Cha on it for the rest of the series. Non-Americans of Reddit, what was the biggest culture shock you experienced when you came to the US? Commercials were particularly obnoxious. Advertisements in between the title credits of the show and the actual show. You guys have a lot of advertisements. Everything is sugar. The bread tasted like cake. It had been 20 minutes since we got our appetizer, which we were having trouble finishing cause the portion was so huge, when a woman came up to our table and said, "Hello, I'm Sheila, the manager," and we were like, shit, have we done something wrong? But no, she was there to apologize profusely for our main course being so late. We figured it would be another 15 minutes or so, which would be okay since we were struggling with the appetizer, but nah, as she was leaving our food arrived. If that was back home, not only would the food be later than 20 minutes, there would be no Sheila to beg for our forgiveness. And definitely not if it was literally 10 seconds away. What improved your quality of life so much, you wish you did it sooner? Switched to a job where I have a consistent, balanced schedule. Has let me exercise again, socialize more and spend time on other hobbies. I started thinking of cleaning as resetting an area. After I cook I have to reset the kitchen. The little shift in perspective made me a much more neat person. Buying a lot of underwear and socks. Also, quitting drugs. Edit. To the people in the comments who are using drugs or want to quit but can't. As someone who struggled with heroin addiction for a long time and finally quit and got my shit together, I highly recommend doing whatever it takes to get off whatever shit you're using, man. I know it's very hard during the first few months, but if you get yourself through that phase, you can see your life drastically improve in front of your eyes, and I assure you that's the best feeling ever. Highly recommend quitting 10 out of 10. And yeah, buy a shit ton of socks and underwears, really comes in the moment that made you hate somebody you once cared about. My ex-wife trying to convince me I was controlling when I told her not to smoke meth around the children. Guy the first was friends with throughout high school and for a year or two after beat the ever-living shit out of his then-girlfriend who I was also friends with. She called me crying and asked me to come to their apartment at 3 a.m. Got there and she was all sorts of fucked up. Black eyes, busted nose, bruises on her neck and arms. The guy was sitting on the edge of his bed shaking his head going, "She made me do it. She broke my damn statue. She accidentally knocked off a collector's statue he had placed on his dresser when she got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. We called the cops and he got arrested. Piece of absolute shoot. When my ex-wife decided I ruined her 10-year anniversary because I didn't want to travel when the entire country was shut down. My opinion on what we should go and do didn't matter. It wasn't our anniversary, it was hers. Entire relationship was basically hers and I was there just to provide. What's one opinion of yours that completely changed when you grew up? I used to care a lot about what everyone thought of me. Sometimes I still do, but as I grew older I realized nobody really thinks about you cause they're too busy thinking about themselves. As a kid I was upset with my mom for not getting me some silly thing I wanted because she only had $100-ish in the bank. I was so sure that $100 is a lot of money. 20 years later I now understand it is not. The older I get the more I find myself saying, it's not that simple. As someone who has worked in a municipality, none of your elected, or unelected leaders know shit about piss. Who are some music artists that switched genres? Trent Reznor has now composed multiple Oscar-winning movie scores. Beastie Boys started out as a hardcore punk band. The band Chumbawamba, responsible for the song Tub Thumping, I Get Knocked Down, But I Get Up Again, actually had a 30-year career and they were all over the place. They started out as a straight-up anarcho-punk band. Then they made an album that was entirely a cappella protest songs. Then they made folk albums, pop, one with Central American sort of flair. Katy Perry was originally a Christian rock artist under her real name Katie Hudson. Gwen Stefani went from punk rock ska chick to pop country Barbie doll pretty quickly. Edit. Okay, it wasn't that quick, still seems like the 90s were yesterday for some of us winking face.